number is 1 out of 27 die. So Mali has a nutrition crisis, it has an education crisis, but Mali is not alone. So elsewhere in the world, there are children in conflict, and it is taking a heavy toll. In Yemen, the number is 11.3 million children that are at risk now in a humanitarian situation. In Syria, it is 8 million. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, it is 7.9 million. These are vast numbers. It means that the number of children that are being affected by conflict is on the increase, and it is an area that UNICEF is hard at work on. We so much appreciate Sweden's long-standing interest and leadership in the area of children in armed conflict, but it is an area that the world needs to pay attention to because these children are really bearing the brunt of most of these conflicts. Let me mention 2 sobering facts. One is that in Syria, over 300 educational facilities have been attacked since the beginning of the conflict 7 years ago. And schools are in danger where schools should be a place that is safe, that is protected. In South Sudan, we have 19,000 children that are serving as child soldiers or as cooks or as sex slaves. Most of them have been abducted. We have several hundred, about 800 that have come out. We at UNICEF work on reintegration of these children into society. Sobering fact number 2 is that conflicts are increasingly taking place in urban settings. And this causes damage to civilian infrastructure, but also it's damaging to the social protection systems that we have in place. So in Yemen, for instance, there have been attacks on water systems, 5 so far, and we believe that more than 90,000 people have been affected. Hospitals and medical staff are also under attack. In Syria alone, there have been 92 attacks that are documented in the first 4 months of this year. But as we see, there are increasing numbers of deaths of healthcare workers and medical personnel. In addition, hard-won gains in education have been reversed. In Mali, you can see that the number of children that are out of school is large, but it has increased. We have increased our estimates 30% so far this year. And in Afghanistan, the number of children out of school has increased. So this is an increase that we have not seen since 2002, but now we estimate that more than half of the children in Afghanistan are out of school. There has been harrowing violence for both women and girls, and it often has long consequences that last for a lifetime, consequences that go unrequited. So in Cox's Bazar, it is now 9 months since the Rohingya refugees fled the brutal attacks that included killings and burnings and rapes, and women are facing the stigma of social and sexual violence and the horror of delivering babies in appalling conditions. We also find that conflicts are lasting longer, and as they last longer, they have a deeper impact. We see this in long unresolved conflicts, such as the one between the Israelis and the Palestinians. Hundreds of Palestinian children have been detained, and children in Israel are often living under the threat of mortars and rockets. So children need peace. We also see it in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where ethnic violence in the Kasai region has led to a massive increase in child recruitment, and where decades of war have weakened the health systems, making the country vulnerable to disease outbreaks. And as all of you know, Ebola is now a recurring worry for all of us. These communities need peace to stave off the ravages of disease. Our teams at UNICEF are working to deliver results for children. We are staying and delivering, but they are very complex environments. And often our people are very much at risk. So let me just mention a few. In Cox's Bazar, our diphtheria vaccination program for more than 400,000 children is ongoing, and support that is psychosocial support for children, about 140,000 children so far. In South Sudan, measles vaccination is ongoing for about 460,000 children, and I had mentioned earlier the release of 800 child soldiers. In Syria, access to safe water, 13 million people, and polio vaccination for 3.3 million children. In Yemen, we have severe malnutrition treatment for over 61,000 children and access to safe water for close to 4 million people. We deeply appreciate the help in the field that we are getting from nonprofit organizations and other UN agencies, but we need access and we need funds. We need access to the populations that we serve and to those that are left the farthest behind. We urge all parties in conflicts to observe the humanitarian organizations having unimpeded, unconditional, and sustainable access. In Syria alone, 11% of our requests for convoys with humanitarian supplies have been approved. And we need funds. We have a $3.7 billion request out, and we have it only 24% funded, so we are underfunded. But with access and with funds, many of these situations of conflict can be remedied, but overall, we need peace. So children need peace, and the parties in conflict need peace. Part of this is that the rules of war have not been abided by. So in the rules of war, all children under the age of 18 should be protected. There is a free access to humanitarian assistance, and there is no detention of children. When these rules are broken, all of society begins to be less human, less humane. So for all of us, children need peace, and these communities need peace.
كان جوزي هو يأمن كل شيء، وهلأ أنا لوحدي يعني عم ربي عيلتي. أنا بالمساعدة المالية بقدر أنا أدفع على الأجار الأوتوكار. أنا بقول لهم لأولادي إنه أنا ما رح ورث لكم شيء، إنه بعد ما مات بيكم أنا ما رح ورث لكم شيء، أنا بقدر أعلمكم، بقدر أشتغل تعلمكم أنتم، بس تتعلموا أنتم من خلال شهاداتكم أنتم بتجيبوا اللي بدكم إياه.
They are able to go to the bank whenever they want to withdraw the money. It gives them dignity, and it gives them the freedom of choice, and it's really important for them.
ما بنزل، ما بروح بترجع حدا.
والله يوم نطبخ شوربات، يوم نشتري عدسات مجروشات نسوي شوربة، والله نسوي كاسة شاي ونقعد نبل الخبز بكاسة شاي وناكل نتحمل الله نشرب كاسة شاي وهذه شغلة.
وصلنا المازوت والتغذية. والله كله يوم نصرفهم وما ملحق ولا شيء، يعني والشيء غالي وأنا مريضة.
The problem we have is that we should be helping 76% of the population, and we are helping only a portion of the 58% under the extreme poverty line. At the moment, the vulnerabilities are increasing, and we are barely maintaining the level of assistance we had the previous year.
إيه إحنا وصلنا مازوت بس بنشتري نجيب بهن أكل للأولاد.
المعيشة يعني بخاف من المعيشة بس، كل شايل همه. والله فكر من خلص دواء، فكر منين رجي. إيه ما في لا شغل ولا في شيء. وين هو؟ وأنا زلمة عطيب وكبير، عمري 90 سنة.
تعذيب وضرب وقتل وإهانة وجوع وبرد وخوف يعني شيء لا يوصف. يعني على الحدود جيت على نقالة حامليني حمل. الوضع المالي سيء بشكل، يعني تصور انه البعض منا الدواء استغنى عن الدواء لانه ما معه حق دواء. بلشت استلم المساعدة النقدية، يعني نفسيتي تغيرت، صرت اشتري ادوية وصرت ساعد الوالدة بدفع ايجار البيت، كثير فرقت معي. تحسنت، يعني نفسيا تحسنت وجسديا تحسنت. بس اذا بدهم يقطعوها انا مضطر اني انا ووالدتي ارجع على سوريا. لو بدنا نموت يا اخي، بس ما راح نمد ايدنا ونكون متسولين، يعني ما راح نتسوى.
A healthy planet is essential for a prosperous and peaceful future. We all have a role to play in protecting our only home. But it can be difficult to know what to do or where to start, and that is why this World Environment Day has just one request: beat plastic pollution. Our world is swamped by harmful plastic waste. Every year, more than 8 million tons end up in the oceans. Microplastics in the seas now outnumber stars in our galaxy. From remote islands to the Arctic, nowhere is untouched. If present trends continue, by 2050, our oceans will have more plastic than fish. On World Environment Day, the message is simple: reject single-use plastic. Refuse what you can't reuse. Together we can chart a path to a cleaner, greener world.
Opportunity, prosperity, optimism. That's the power of global trade. Global 3000, brought to you by DHL.
This week, Global 3000 heads to the Seychelles. What can be done to protect the nation's endangered coral reefs? In Ecuador, top chefs are discovering ingredients from the Amazon. Can local delicacies save the rainforests? But first, we head to China, where many people are drowning in trash from around the globe. Plastic has become a seemingly unavoidable feature of our planet. In 1950, we produced around 1.5 million tonnes of it. Since then, global plastic production has skyrocketed. In 2016, it totalled about 335 million tonnes. Around half of the plastic produced is disposable, products like bottles, plastic bags and cups. Where does it all end up? Much ends up in landfills or in the environment. Plastic waste is also sold, shipped to countries like China. In 2016, China received 1.6 million tonnes of plastic rubbish from the EU alone. China is the world's top importer of plastic trash to date. Places like Guiyu depend on it for survival, but since early 2018, the country has banned many waste imports.
These Chinese children have little to look forward to each day. They spend most of their waking hours between plumes of smoke and mountains of plastic. Their families earn their livelihood by sorting waste. These scenes are from a Chinese documentary. Wang Jiuliang spent many years filming small Chinese garbage dumps. He was haunted by what he witnessed.
I have a daughter of my own. I couldn't bear to see her grow up in such a horrible environment. Some of these children have been surrounded by garbage since they were born. I don't want kids living in rubbish every day.
Business. The families sorting the trash are exposed to numerous health hazards, including toxic fumes and harmful substances. Some of the children here don't go to school. What's not recycled often ends up elsewhere in the landscape.